Good morning, and welcome to this morning's Wuxing Long Pai Taijiquan. It looks like this is pretty dark looking at it, and I'm not sure it's going to work. All I can say is that there's a silhouette, and we may have to just work with that this morning. I apologize for that, but I have no indoor space large enough because of some changes that we've had to make in the house. So I apologize for the dark shadows, and I'm going to try to change angles or something, maybe. Wonder if it goes against a different backdrop. Up close, it's not horrible, but it seems like there's definitely, against the backdrop of the house, seems best. So I need a good flat spot, though, out here. Okay. So, all right, looks like this is probably going to be the best scenario, and I apologize for not having as pretty a backdrop as usual. I think I need to change that angle because of the hill. Nope, still on a hill. There we go. That's a little better. But we lost some of the clarity. That looks like this is probably going to be the best spot. All right. Well, we're just going to work with it, and we'll do the best we can this morning. So I'm hoping it doesn't rain. It's already rained once today, so I'm hoping it doesn't rain too much more. We'll just begin. So let's start with our feet roughly shoulder width and parallel. So if I close up quickly, it's because it started to rain and I don't want my equipment to get damaged. I'm going to try to keep this up as long as possible this morning. I'm going to drop the low back, elongate the spine, sit into the triangles of the feet. Make sure you're not too far in the ball of the foot, not back on the heels and sitting. That your center line is upright and relaxed. The bowl of the pelvis is catching your upper body weight. It's being distributed through the ball and socket joints of the hips and straight down into the ground. The pelvic floor is gently supported from below. The dantian, all the lower body muscles, including the urethral and rectal muscles, are slowly, just lightly gathering in. We have good zhongding, a sense of extending both up and down. We're relaxing the right and left channels so that jiajing points can go straight down into the ball and socket joints of the hips. Be directed by the power of the hips and the intent straight down through the triangles of the feet. We're soft and buoyant still. Shoulders are relaxed. They're neither back nor crouched or collapsed forward too far. The chest is relaxed, but the shoulders are even and the arms are relaxed down to the side. The back of the neck is slightly open and the chin is ever so slightly down, looking out and down, maybe 8 to 10 feet in front of you. And that gets the back of the neck to open up and the bai hui point to point towards the sky. I relax my hands right at the hips, at the lower dantian, just below the lower dantian. And on my inhale, I expand. Exhale and return back to the center. Expanding to the sides, expanding up and down, expanding to the front and back, and every direction. So we get this sense of expanding through the body, through the Ming Men. The dantian expands and returns to the center. I'm just using my hands to help my mind. Picture that spreading in that direction too. Moving out in front. Just trying to get that sense of the sphere of the center expanding with my breath. pressing through the earth with the downward pressure as I expand, and letting that move me a little bit, eventually moving less and less and moving through me. And back in. Sometimes I'll let my hands express different parts of the circle to help me go deeper with them. We have a unique orientation to our hands and arms, and our mind works really well with it. So sometimes bringing the hands through an expression, an artistic expression of the mind intent, it helps us to deepen that experience and get a sense of moving through our whole being more effectively that way. Then we're going to inhale and condense in the dantian as though everything is being drawn inward. On the exhale, let it flow out and expand. And then we bounce. With that same sense of energetic intention and pressure, my intent through the chi, with the mind through the body, I'm still coming down through my body, the whole body down. Then there's a natural response as the chi of my whole body hits the ground and bounces. And I'm going to work with that. So there's still that sense of in and out expansion. It's part of this. From here, we're going to go into counterswing. Now I'm using that deep-rootedness as a base of energy and power. And I'm going to use the relationship of gravity and up and down as a motive force, but I'm going to join with it the power of my dantian and the ability to move these right and left channels and to turn them even back and forth to create this motion from, and it's always coming from my relationship to the ground up, being directed by the intent of the dantian. I should have a feeling like if I encounter a medium here, water, energy, another solidity of some kind, the continuity will let me conjoin with it, deal with its relationship to the ground and its weight and balance and energy, receive it through me into my root, and not contend with that, but instead let the momentum of my energy move through it. If it's water, then I move the water in sort of waves of motion around me. If it were a person, then I encounter, receive their weight, ground it through me, neutralizing their own root, their own connection to the ground. I'm using my connection to the ground in place of it, in place of theirs. Then they become part of my experience. I become part of theirs. And push, brush, brush that way, right? Brush this way. Focus on this one. And the other one be more of a release. So the yang energy is here. Right? But I've got this connection can't be coming from the shoulder. It has to be coming from this relationship of the arm to the torso, through the legs, and into the ground. Here. Same thing here. Meanwhile, I'm always attending to the structural relationship, shoulder, hip, knee, triangle of the foot, and the rotation of the tissue, the spiraling power of the tissue around the central channel, around that centralized bony structure and conceptual structure of this relationship, but the center of the bones all the way down and into the center of the foot. So I've got this intention downward and everything around it. And I'm utilizing the bones and their alignment to align to that verticality, just like I do in Jianzhuang. And I let my body have its contours, but I'm always intending here. I've got the same thing happening on the right and left channels, and I'm paying attention to the way they're rotating. The spiral is rotating around, or both out and in, but also how those two things spiraling are maintaining this uprightness around this center line through which they're turning. And I want to combine the powers of all of those things. Each of them has its own sort of sets of nuance of technique and the power that it gives you when you perfect it. And you got to kind of work with each of them individually and then try to put them together. So I'm, for a while, I might focus on this feeling of the rotations, really paying attention to those two spirals. Then I might pay attention to things like which side is being receptive versus expansive in those. Right? Once I've got the sense of what the two spirals are doing, just by watching them, just by paying attention. Then this one's becoming receptive, this one's becoming expansive. And you'll notice like the expansiveness kind of helps to drive this expansion, but I still need that receptivity to root through. That way, if I encounter weight or resistance, I can ground it. you begin to see why these practices are so important in this style and system. And I can change the orientation of the arm, and nothing else changes. Those same basic root things change. They're still the same. I still want to have that sense of moving from the center, interacting with and neutralizing, not propping with the shoulder, but neutralizing that through my legs, neutralizing resistance. So I imagine the resistance and what it would feel like and my reaction to it, and then I follow that back and relax it. And I allow it to drop. And we go to that forward and back column swing. It's the same things here. You've heard me talk about the pulling down, right? But this same thing is still happening. It's just that instead of alternating, they're going together up and down to create that expansive quality. So I work with that. And I can spiral up and out and then roll that out. Rolling it up, this sense of get that rolling. This just starts getting into some of the Bagua energies, or the basic palm techniques. This is earth energy, as opposed to this, which is heaven energy. Earth energy, ground. Earth energy, heaven energy. These are the two basic palms of the Bagua system, and they're related to the Taiji as well. The whole point, however, for those of you who are more focused on the health aspect, is about the way it frees up flow of qi and connects a deep-rooted qi through the whole body. It provides both strength and endurance, but strong vitality and powerful circulation. And close. There is an awful lot to play with there. And you can take any one of those and play with it in all sorts of different ways. There's all sorts of different expressions and energies. If you just actually even just looked up on the I Ching, which is the basis of a lot of Taoist thought, It's a book of changes, and it talks about the 8 fundamental energies, and this is what Bagua is all about. But ultimately, when you really break down Tai Chi into all its various relationships of yin and yang, a lot can be informed by that study, because Tai Chi is really just the unification of yin and yang, which is the basis from which Bagua, the I Ching, and the Bagua evolve. So they're related. And learning to just get a sense of those fundamental energies. What does water feel like? How does it, just getting the sort of essence of the movement in your actions. Some of this that I was doing here, this is working with that sort of watery, rolling energy, right? So I just as opposed to earth, which is much more rounded. It's got more, you can kind of see it has more solidity to it, right? And that heaven energy is this up and down, this powerful yin and yang. Right, so we've already covered 3 basic energies, and just playing. That's only 3 of the 8. And if you play around with each of these, you start working with each component of how to get this expression of this rotation of right and left channels, the relationship of the center line, everything we've studied on the basic structure, and then start to express those different energies and feel how it moves through your body and how it changes the nature and state of your mind-body complex. Because then this starts to become an intuitive tool for you, because the feel of these energies appear. It's very powerful teaching here. One of the reasons why I love Qigong as a training tool for Taoism and Taoist practices is because how viscerally informative it is, and how much it awakens an intuitive level of understanding that transcends thinking and talking about it. Okay? In fact, the talking about it sometimes is difficult. But I'm trying to point you at something. All right. So we're going to just do our basic stance, reach out as though we're moving into Wuji again, just like we did on Thursday. Just adopt a nice, strong Wuji posture. Again, we won't hold too long because it's like we've gone back to the beginning. So beginning level students can kind of work with this. But I also want to inform the more advanced students, which is why I've done as much of that deep work as I have on those counter swing series of Qigong exercises. And for now, we'll roll the hands back, down. Down the cheek. Hands, wrists, and fingers. Other way. And elbows. Other way. Shoulders. Shoulders down, extend and gently open. Extend and rotate out. We're trying to rotate not just the wrist, but the shoulder and elbow in, and then extend the palm out and the fingers out. Open, keeping the shoulder blades down. Rotate. And now we go down. Fingertips lightly touching again. Palms back and out, shoulders down again. Palms out. Back of the palms together. Press those elbows down and under, in, open the shoulders. Keep the shoulder blades down, elbows down, palms out. Notice, not this, this. Opening the chest. Patting the ribs. Trunk twist from the center. Patting the body. Now patting the waist first, that daimai. Using the shift and turn, movement of the center to create this energy through the arms, hands. Working my way up the right and left sides, the right and left channels, front and back. Shoulders. Across the collarbone, neck. Trapezius a little bit too. Collarbone, just underneath the chest, or just underneath the collarbone rather. And stimulating the thymus and the thyroid through this vibration here. But also connecting with the center line, vibrating the energy between the middle dantian and the upper dantian, trying to feel that vibration along that center line, particularly through these upper regions. Down to the center of the chest and below, the solar plexus, now getting that energy to vibrate down through here, from middle dantian to lower dantian. All the way to the lower dantian. Patting the daimai again, and then the hips and pelvis to connect the energy here. Now that we've all stimulated and opened, we've opened up everything up here considerably. Now we work on connecting down. Daimai, really opening up that daimai. Circling, letting your awareness move around it as you move that bowl shape of the pelvis, and keeping this still. The action happens right in here, right around that daimai. I'm also always trying to activate the tissue, even in the lower abdomen, all the way to the pubic bone. So I come in and around. I'm activating everything around here. It's like trying to make the tissues kind of wave around, just like my body movement is going. And the other way. But I'm always remembering that the middle of these ball and socket joints, the energy comes up from ground through these deep-rooted energies of the bones and the bony structures and the marrow and the right and left channels here, up and in. And it kind of coming through the ball and socket joints, they connect into this bowl of the pelvis and feed very powerfully. And then the lesser, like the non-structural channels, the organ channels surround that. And I want to feel all of that as it comes in and connects. I want to create a connection between this Hui Yin Jing draw and the bubbling well points of the feet. So I get this sense of drawing up as I do this, right? And making the connection inner to outer, Wei Gong to Nei Gong. Then I bring my awareness down to the ball and socket joints. Still have that. Now I'm adding these little more internal elements while we do these physical things. We've got this Jing draw and gathering, right? And I turn the feet out a little bit, widen them, so I can open up the hips. I really pay attention to this pelvic floor and its connection now through all the muscles through here and the leg and all the channels and the energy coming from the ground into the dantian. Tailbone is still down. Mingmen is active, which is in the low back here. It's participatory in the dantian. And I'm going to take this dantian and I'm going to extend its relationship between the dantian and the triangle of the foot by pressing in gently, pulling open. Almost like as I press down and I pull open, all the joints, the ball and socket joint, the space between the hips, or the knees and the ankles, all open up. And I just extend that relationship, and then I'm going to try to circle around, particularly the ball and socket joint. Other way. And do the other side. Do the same thing. Get that sense of pressing down and pulling that open. All the way from the dantian through that ball and socket joint of the hip. Draw in. the other way. And we're going to take both and we're going to move the ball and socket joints here, getting a sense of the relationship from dantian through the ball and socket joints all the way to the triangles of the feet and into the ground. And playing with that relationship as we move the hips. Trying to get it to open up, be stronger and more open. Meanwhile, the pelvic floor is still gently supported. And the other way. Then I'm going to let them turn, getting that relationship this way. Still strong openness and extension into the ground, gathering and receiving from the ground. And the other way. And shake them out. These fundamental chaining exercises, this is a form of Qigong, which is a conditioning, right? It's not, I mean, there's a whole bunch to the Qigong. So the Iron Dragon Qigong, Swimming Dragon Dao Yin, all of that. But underneath it all is these pliability practices. These aren't just, flinging your arms around. We want to bring that level of awareness that we do, Wu Ji, the Dragon Rolling Pearl, right? To all the practices that we do, we want to bring that to these basic movements and these openings, really particularly here. This is probably the most important area to open up is the ball and socket joints of the hips and this what they call the Hua and the dantian and Mingmen and the relationship to the Hui Yin and pelvic floor, and that's relationship all the way to the bowling well point into the ground. Most important. Okay. All right, patting the legs. Friction rubbing the knee. Other leg. Friction rubbing the knee. Small circles, knees together, feet stay flat on the ground. The other way. Deep bends. I'm going to try to keep my center line up, particularly the bi-hui point, pointing towards the sky, but keep my weight in the center of the triangles of the feet. Just work that. I'm just trying to work that center line, Zhongding energy, while squatting with my feet close together and keeping the balance ideal. Keeping the weight all the way through the center of the triangle of the foot, never putting it on the knee, but going through the knee into the ground. Maybe shake the legs out. Support one side, soft and buoyant, ankle and hip. And the other way. Foot and ankle. Other way. Brushing the grass. Other way. Behind. And the other way. Leg out. Now we're going to put it straight out and hold. Bring it out to the side. hold. Point the toe and bring it back. And hold. Cross behind. We'll sink straight down, so with the back knee going underneath the front leg. Spine nice and long. Turn towards, so this is my left leg, so I'm going to turn towards my left side. If it looks like my right for you and you've got your right in front, that's fine. We're turning towards the top knee. Point the tailbone down, elongate the spine. Just try to make the body long. Back up. Bring the knee up. And the knee towards the chest. And the knee down. I like to grab in the back, bring the heel right to my glutes, and point the knee back and press the hip, rather, the iliopsoas part of the hip forward while the knee goes back. From the side, so you can see what that looks like. If I can get as good stability here on the ground, it's not always even. Here, I'm not doing this and leaning over. I'm extending down, bring the knee back, pushing this forward. And we release that, bring it back out and around. And just let the hip fall open. Once it falls open, I use my core and extend through the knee. And I'm trying to extend and rotate from here, from my center towards my knee. If this puts pressure on the knee, and because you're going to, then you're too far. Take the pressure off, let the leg come down. Focus on the feeling around the hip of extending and twisting that way, outward. And shake the leg out and switch. Start with the circling the ankle and hip. And the other way. Foot and ankle. Other way. Brushing the grass. Always with that sense of resistance, like there's water and I have to root that through this leg, which means I need a dynamic relationship here. Everything from here down is always making subtle changes to allow force and energy to flow through. If you lock down, you can't do that. And you're going to fail a lot at trying to get it, where you have to put your foot down. That's fine. Success is built on failure. Don't tighten up to succeed. Sink and root to succeed. And if you fail at sinking and rooting, make that more important than your success at moving your leg. We're setting up the exercise to accomplish a task. The task is not to move the leg in a circle. The task is to learn to generate energy and power from a rooted position with your leg in this fashion. But the rootedness and power has to be there before we care about how well we do this with our foot. All right? So if I have to keep putting the foot down in order to reestablish rooted energy, strength, and power, then that's what I have to do until I learn how to eventually extend that all the way out and through the leg while staying completely relaxed. The other way. And behind. So right here, I'm noticing I'm shearing weight just a little bit, shearing energy. So I'm going to slow that down even further and find where I go out just a little bit. There is a lot. Everybody does it until you learn not to do it at all, which is a lifetime pursuit. You know, I do it a lot less than I used to. It's almost 30 years of practice. And I can still find ways where I have a tendency to want to move in certain places. And that has to do with old injuries and tensions and traumas and patterns of holding that I just, you know, that you spend a lifetime unraveling. It's okay. It's part of the work. It's part of the joy of the work. The fact that I have not yet run out of things to work on and improve after all this time is exciting to me. And that means I'm going to be able to keep doing this thing that I love doing. And it just keeps making me feel better and better. And I'm going to try playing around with going back and forth and see about those changes. Can I adjust that and still stay rooted? You know, it's just like in the beginning when I thought about this rooted sensation and creating energy and power here. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just only using for that relationship to the ground. It comes from here to there. But it's the same thing I was doing with my arms. It's just happening lower in the body. Right? It's not as connecting into expressing power here. This part up here is simply trying to work together with this for rooted balance to extend out from. This leg is extending out from my center, but that the rest of me is generating energy to develop a root with. So all of me is focused here, and then from here, outreaching with this leg. Same thing when I go back. And the other one. And you'll notice the places where you feel like you can't extend. Like sometimes people can't use these tissues here as part of it. Well, then that's what you've got to work on. Learn to connect from the deep dantian through here all the way into the part of the instep that kind of grips the ground and extends through the toes. There's your yin connection with the bubbling well and big toe. That hollow and the power of the big toe and the heel create these yin channels because that's where the yin channels are. Meanwhile, the yang channels are around that and helping you to have that downward extension, which is yang energy coming down from the channels. This is receptive, and the receptive helps you outreach. Right? Whereas the yang, the expansive, helps you root. The root comes from your receptivity. Your outreach comes from your intention. Again, we're connecting yin and yang. And shake it out. We didn't do that. Okay, this one, come up and out. Hold it just a little bit. Come up to the side. Toe, and come back. Come behind, cross, spine long, turn towards that front top knee. Come back up. Bring the knee up to the chest. Spine long still. Knee down, heel back. Knee back, heel forward. Leg out and around. And extend out, rotating open from here. Shake it out. About to get a flyover. Oh, no, just a flyby. Thought we were about to get a flyover by a gaggle of geese. But they curved out there in the field and went back and then landed. Would have been nice because when they fly over and they're not too high, you can actually feel the power of their wings as it hits, and you can hear it from their wings. But you can, if you pay attention, you can actually feel the airwaves moving from it, from the sound and from the pressure of the air. It's subtle, but it's there. Doing, if they're too far away, you can't. But I have them fly over, maybe 15, 20 feet sometimes, and I can totally feel it. It's fantastic. If you ever get a chance, get out where there's geese and see if you can have that happen. I had it happen one time on a river. I was kayaking, and some geese were kind of swimming, and then they, like 15 feet away from me, they were coming out of the water and flying to the side. You could kind of see it on the water, but you could also feel it, and it reverberated. It was really neat. Anyways, extend the spine, make it long, press the knees back. So one time you get to kind of lock your knees. This is just a stretch for the hands to open up the yang channels, the back of the legs and the back. But we're going to keep that spine nice and long as we come down. As soon as you encounter any tension at all and your body wants to shift and move you away from it, don't. Stop and relax the tension first. Then proceed downward. You see, I'm taking my time because there's one fiber that's tighter than the rest, or I don't know if it's just one fiber. It's probably a bunch of them, but it's one small area of the hamstring that's tighter than the rest of it. So I'm aiming my energy and intention to keep myself aligned in there where I can feel where the tension is and learn to relax and clear that energy. Utilizing the relationship of my center to the ground to work with that. Now I feel it in the low back, so I'm trying to keep it long and stretch from the bottom up, not from the top down or the out in. Extending the tailbone down, and I'm coming with my awareness from my sacrum up into this quadratus lumborum and the low back, just intending them longer. So that they're going that way, out towards the direction my spine is going. And then I just let gravity pull me down as I release. And maintaining a good, powerful, stable structure from the dantian down through the feet and the spine long and straight. I'm going to shift and turn, keeping my weight in the center. I'm going to turn my center line like it's a speedometer towards one side. Feel where the tensions arise, and I'm going to try to keep my structure, work with releasing those tensions. And I'm going to use my hip, and I'm going to push towards the other side just a little bit. Just elongate, stretch out further on that left hip and low back. And I go back to the center. Place one hand down, and I reach back. And reach out with the front hand. Twist. The back hand is twisting inward. The front hand is twisting upward. Inward and backward. Inward and upward. Come back, down towards the foot. Sweep
across, going back to the center line particularly, and to the other side, starting in the center line. Notice where it binds up or starts to get tight somewhere. Work with that. And shift that hip over just a little bit to feel that stretch, both here and here, or wherever it is for you. Back to the center. Nice and long. Out and back. This hand is down and back. Front hand turns palm up, reaches. Back towards the foot. And back. Notice this front hand sweeps right in front of my feet. This back hand sweeps along the side of the foot and then out. And this one comes around the foot and back. This one sweeps out long, reaches. Two dragons circle the palm. And then you can make it just a little bit more round. Back to the center. Digging into that pond now. Come up. And place the hands, stretching the hips open. Spine nice and long. Hands down. Bring your weight in, opening up the hips. Rocking back and forth just a little bit. Open up those hips. Back. Press up with the legs into the low back. And roll the spine up from bottom to top. Head and neck come up last. And a dragon spine. Now we've got that serpentine dragon spine happening from this out and in at the hips. Then rotates into the shoulders. It's almost like there's a sphere and my hands are just going to roll right around that, but it's going to happen as a product of this wave. And the other way. Bring the hands out. And we start just out and back in a circle. Bigger circle. Spine up. I'm not yet coming all the way around and up. For now, I'm just here and letting the twist happen. So I want you to see the dragon spine. Okay. So then we come in and back and try to keep the palms up. And we keep that going. Just in. And we go the other way. We start with this. And then we bring the hands and keep them palms up above the shoulders. Below. And close.
Chances are pretty good. We're near. Yeah, we're even over by like 5 minutes. And I have another class I have to get to teach. So I'm sorry that I don't have time to go too much deeper today. But this is really valuable, really taking the time and really going through this. I introduced some basic concepts last week on some of these things, and I went a little bit deeper, took a deeper dive today. For those of you that have been working with me for a while, because you've heard all the other stuff. You probably heard some of this before too, maybe not in the way I expressed it, and the detail in which I'm trying to help you experience this material, and still integrate it as one whole thing. There's lots of little nuances that are present, but we're still trying to always incorporate them into this basic concept: calm and relaxed, centered and grounded, whole and complete, alive and lively, sphere, yin and yang, flow. Okay? All right. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the I guess you call the exciting weather that we're having with the tropical storm. I hope everybody is safe and can just enjoy the energy and power of it and not have to worry and have anything go awry. Have a great couple of days. I will see you on Thursday at 10 a.m. for the next installment of this, where we'll go. Hopefully, I won't spend as much time. I won't feel like I need to spend as much time on these fundamental warm-ups, because the last couple of times I've kind of said a lot about them and let you work with them, and I think that's good. But I think I want to move forward now and keep working with the form, kind of taking the 4 movement form that we have to the next step with that. All right. If you want to help me continue this work and support my video work and online work, and so I can have the time and energy to devote to this, as well as maybe hopefully produce some written works soon, which I'm kind of working out. Then you can go to my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/Occidental Taoist. You can also find a whole bunch of my live streams on my Facebook page, which is, again, Facebook. Go onto Facebook and just look up the Occidental Taoist. You'll find me. I think if you just put facebook.com/Occidental Taoist, I come up. And then if you want to get some other exclusive content, you go to my Patreon page and join me and become a member of my Patreon group. And that's patreon.com/Occidental Taoist. All right. Thank you guys very much. You have many blessings of radiant health and a peaceful, happy heart. Sure.